All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining me for today's Monday session on why we took 697 calls, on the reasoning on why I took 697. So based off today's open, we had a today's open and push up really kind of set the tone for the day. You guys know I really don't play the opens and stuff like that, but even if I don't play the opens, I really didn't enjoy that opening that much because we had opened underneath. But that's why I don't really play the opens. I play with what I'm comfortable with. So at the end of the day, after we started getting the squeeze, I know that but we can tell right away that these candles are really strong. So at this point, I'm starting to look for an entry around my 845 area. So as 15 minutes after the market, I usually like to play 15 to 30 minutes after the market. If I don't find an entry around those points, I'll just try to stay patient so I can find some type of entry that I fully feel comfortable with. But in today's situation, we closed on the 15 minute and on the 5 minute. Obviously they both align, but we closed above into our supply zone of 692.64, kind of giving us the confirmation that we're gonna get that push all the way up to our key pivot of 693.67. So in that case, I'm waiting for that key pivot to get tested and rejected, so we can get a retest of our 5 minute 90 EMA. One of the main key indicators that I use to for a lot of my plays is I use my levels, my data, and my indicators. My indicators, as in my 90 EMA and my VWAP. In today's case, I was waiting for my 90 EMA to give us a retest, and unfortunately for today's case, I kind of just missed the entry. As soon as we closed bill above our key pivot, I would have liked to get a clean entry around our EMA, around my EMA, so I can kind of have a good sense of I got a good entry right here, so I can feel comfortable writing it. So in this case right here, it was just pushing really hard. I didn't feel comfortable getting into that play yet. So as soon as we got the really strong push, as we know that when we get really strong pushes and stuff like that early in the morning, if we want to get a continuation push, we usually look to get on a retest of our EMAs. But when it comes to looking to get that type of continuation push, especially after pushing for so high, is a lot of things just have to align up in our chart. So for the first thing for me is on a retest that I'm gonna be looking for is we've gotten the push so hard above our 90 EMA already on the 5 minute. I'm already expecting a little bit of chop just for the fact that we have gotten a really strong push. In this case right here, I'm looking at all my charts to see what all my charts tell me. So first thing I'm looking at is I'm gonna look at my 15-minute chart. I like the 9 EMA on the 15th for a retest. So the next thing I start looking at is because I still keep in mind above 693.67. I usually like to place a lot of my levels to find price targets based off previous data that we've gotten before in these ranges. So above 693.67, it usually gives us the range up to around our next key pivot, which we have 696.52 range. Obviously, our key pivot's gonna move at the end of the session a little bit to the upside, just for the fact that we uh we don't um we don't have that much data to base these key pivots off of because it's just all time highs right here and that's it. So we're gonna work on that after, but we know that our key pivot's gonna be around the 696.52 area. So after we get all that data down, now I usually like to go. I'm gonna go ahead and flip over to where I usually can see my back end of my data. So in my case right here, you guys know we got IT Matrix. I hop into my IT Matrix. I'm using the replay option that I have on the IT Matrix, but I in this case right here around our 945 area, we were around our 945. We were waiting for the retest of the 90 EMA on the 15 minute, and our 90 EMA was lined up around 694, 693.98. So in that case right there, we can see based off our jacks right here that we're still on positive jacks. So from what I can see of our jacks, if we hold our EMA and we can hold our positive jacks is usually buyers sell buyers. It's a bullish trend, so buyers sell the top of the trend and they try looking for cheap entries. In this case right here, I'm looking for to see how well we can hold up our last strongest Jex level that we have, which is it's currently on our 693 strike, and it lines up really well with our 15-minute 90 EMA. So in this case right here, I noticed that if we can hold above that, then our highest strike Jex is currently located at 695. which is at high of day, giving us our price target really well. Now we got to lean towards our technicals. Once we start leaning towards we sweep above high of day, then we start looking to sweep the rest of our ejects levels above. And now give me a sec, guys. I'm gonna switch back to our. But whole time, the main thing that I was looking at in this type of situation is I'm looking for us to hold into our positive ejects. And when I sent the chart in the morning, I mentioned that I'm looking to hold the positive G ejects, which in that current area we were located around our 695, 694 range. So we got the hold above our 693, which also validated our hold above our 90 EMA on the 15-minute chart. That kind of everything, all our time frames are started validating really well for me, giving us the push for higher day. Once again, we start sweeping above higher day, giving us the confirmation to give us our key pivot. And then obviously I drop everything that I'm looking for inside of general chat on trading floor. I mentioned that my stop loss is going to be underneath the 9 EMA. Dropped it right here. We got two retests of the 9 EMA. In this case right here, I also, like I said, once we start holding up our data, once we start holding up our indicators, now we start looking towards technical analysis. The next thing I start looking at is I start noticing a triple bottom situation. So right here, for me right here, based off this sweep right here, I'm basing this sweep to be the head in this situation. So I'm looking for a triple bottom to kind of give me the validation that this is going to be an inverse head and shoulders. For me, it would have been validated that it would have been an inverse head and shoulders if we started closing underneath 694.58, which for us, as you guys know, that is the fit on our 15-minute time frame. That is our demand zone. Every single time on the 15-minute, it continued holding our demand zone, giving us the validation above higher day, giving us price targets. So there's just a lot of things that come into play, but as well as on the hourly, on the first, based off the first hourly, crazy hourly candle. But once we got that hourly close above into our supply zone, it started kind of giving us the push that it wants to push all the way up to our 697.05 key pivot on the hourly. So it's just a lot of things that line up, that kind of has a lot of things that have to line up to give us the confirmation that okay, we've already pushed so far. What makes me feel comfortable getting into this play at this high already, knowing that I already missed my loss, knowing that I already missed my entries, and that's just for the fact that volume was already pushing really high. Our data was giving us the validation. All our charts were giving us the validation. So everything just started aligning up for us, which for me that was giving us the best risk to reward. I'm not fading all my data. I'm not fading all my charts. I'm not fading the bullish momentum that we got in straight from open. Not really any downside in that situation. So we just continue to carrying the momentum all the way up to our key pivots above. Do you guys have any questions? But yeah, guys, my main things, my intraday charts, which is my 5 and the 15-minute charts, my hourly charts, and we just got to line up our data. We just got to make sure our data lines up well with our levels. If our data lines up well with our levels, then why wouldn't we win, you know? So it's all about just feeling comfortable, getting an entry you like, and just trusting the work that you're putting in, you know? In today's case, we trusted it, we followed through the whole time, and we got paid all the way to our key pivot above. My key pivots are based off the 1 hour has their own key pivots, and my 15 and my 5-minute charts have their own key pivots. Two different layouts. They both align around the same areas though. Just my hourly usually gives me, I usually like to have my hourly levels a lot more separated to have a bigger understanding on the big side of the range. But my intraday levels give me where what exactly I'm supposed to be looking at when we're playing that bigger range on the hourly. And you guys know I missed majority of my entries on the in the morning, but it's all about just being patient. We stay patient, and we continue the trend. We just got a good entry that we liked, and stay patient and rode that up. I love seeing you guys bank. I love seeing all those gains I saw in the morning. I look to see which call or put I get just based off the fact that just what lines up really well for me. For me, on my hourly, I have around the 697 range. On me, intraday is still early in the morning. It's 10 a.m. in the morning. I know my key pivot is around 697, 696.52, so it's pretty close to my 697 area. So that's why I chose 697s. I knew that was a very possible option that we could possibly go into the money. But for me, my first price target was my key pivot of 696.52. Pretty, and it was priced out really well to the point where I know if I got that move where I wanted it to, with a lot of time in the day, these contracts could pay really well. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. You guys just let me know if you guys have any questions on why we played what we played. Right now we're just going over the play today. If there's no more questions on the play, then I'm just gonna go ahead and end the live recording. And if you guys, like always, I'm gonna go ahead and put this live recording into one of the channels tonight, and you guys go ahead and check it out and study it if you guys want. Hey, what's going on, guys? I appreciate you guys for joining me here tonight for our end of day recap and analysis. Today we're gonna be going over the reasoning on why we ended up going with shorts today. For when it comes to shorts, I ended up taking two shorts positions. My first short position was our 688 puts, and then our second short position was 687 puts, and I'm pretty much just gonna walk us down on the reasonings on why I played those two shorts and the reason I was looking in shorts in general. But when it comes to those two plays, the main reasons I was looking at shorts was at first by market open, I was kind of expecting for market to be a little choppy because I was looking at pre-market a little bit. Pre-market was looking a little bit choppy, but I think the only thing pre-market was just showing us was that we were getting a rejection from all-time highs, and a lot of people ask me why, when it comes to my levels, why don't I use them on after hour data and stuff like that. I just like the regular time frame hours just for the fact that it's just given me the most success in, when it comes to finding moves intraday wise, and they still align really well with our after hour levels anyway. So but based off this open, today's open, we had a little bit of chop. Based off today's open, we got a strong rejection of 696.81. But when it comes to me, you guys know I like to wait a couple minutes, at least for the market to settle in the morning, so I can start looking for direction and play. All my charts have to line up for me, but based off the pre-market data, I was kind of betting on the market to be a little bit choppy in the morning, which it was. But once it started breaking down, that should have been my cue to. That was my cue that to start looking into shorts, and just for the fact that I had on our data, we have our negative jacks started at around. Wait, let me switch my screen to for you guys. This is our 9 a.m. data for today. Our negative jack start, our strongest jack strike started at around 694 for 149,000. As soon as we started breaking into negative jacks, I was just pretty much waiting for a confirmation, and for me, my confirmation. Now I go back to my levels. For me, my confirmation was if we got a close above a 15-minute close above 693.67, that would have been a confirmation for me that we would have started seeing that I would have started looking for longs, which I mentioned for you guys in the morning chat. That if we stayed above key pivot, I'm gonna start looking for longs. So as soon as we got a sweep and a close right underneath our key pivot of 693.67, I started looking for shorts. In this case right here, it moved a little bit quick right here, so I was kind of waiting for a little bit of a retest of some type of EMA, but in this case right here, we got the close underneath our key pivot. We got to close into negative jacks right away. We started pushing down. So in this case right here, I started looking for an entry on shorts. I ended up getting on this entry on shorts around our 9 EMA slash demand test on our first entry of shorts for 688. Just due to the fact that I know, for me, all my charts are pretty much pointing down to the downside, just for the fact that we already broke below our key pivot of 693.67. So that break of our key pivot, based off previous data, it just shows that underneath 693.67, we usually get the push back down to our other key pivot of 689.58 next. But first, obviously, 690.95. In today's case, we had that bounce of 690.95. So we got the rejection all the way down to our 690.95 level for our puts to bank 688. But for us to stay wanting to be bearish in today's case, which was the reason then that we entered another play, was pretty much for the fact that I'm looking to see how strong our down push was. And for this case right here, for me to have been invalidated that we're gonna start looking to get a push up, I would have needed a staircase, our staircase slash lower high to start breaking. For in today's case, would have been above 693.52, equaling a push above our 9 EMA on the 15-minute slash also our key pivots of 693.67, which also starts lining up with our strongest JEX level of 694. Kind of lining up that we're gonna start pushing back into the range above where we opened at. In today's case, we rejected our highest negative JEX level that we were currently in. We started rejecting our EMA. We couldn't close above our lower highs, so we just continued carrying the trend up below our 9 EMA, which you guys know when we mentioned in the chat that our stop loss in this place we're going to be above our key pivot of 693.67, because it also lines up with our 9 EMA on the 15-minute time frame. So by the time we got it, we carried all the way down to a low day. By the time we got to a low day, that was pretty much a clear confirmation that we're still staircasing down. So by the time we got to low day, we start waiting for our candles to start touching our key pivots. In today's case, by the time we went to go touch our key pivot for the first time, we completely swept underneath our key pivot of 689.58. And if you guys know, if you guys been in the Discord for a while, you guys know the way I like to play my key pivots. I pretty much base my key pivots just off a lot of previous past data. So also just by looking at the JEX in the morning, we can see a rejection of our 694 key pivot on the negative JEX. Usually gives us I was gonna start looking for a push all the way to our next lowest slash strongest interest that we have in these downside ranges, which in this case was 690, which I also have to align. When it comes to me, I gotta align everything, and with all my charts, everything has to make sense for me. So I aligned that back with my my chart on my intraday, and it lined up really well because we got the rejection of our strongest negative JEX level. We start writing our negative JEX all the way down towards our 680, which our next key pivot was going to be 689.58, which lines up well with our 690, 680, 690, 689 negative JEX level. And then after then, we just kind of got to continue writing our JEX, continue getting stronger to the downside. We got to continue writing our EMAs and our levels, and we got the full move all the way to the downside. There was not too much negative compared to positive that we had. There was just I mentioned to you guys on strong trend days, majority of the time it's the same thing. A lot of times we just get the ride of our 9 EMA on the 15-minute, and the charts just kind of have to make sense. In this case right here, we got the rejection of our lower high, our rejection of our 9 EMA, our key pivot, our strongest JEX level that showed to the downside, and we got paid. Do you guys have any questions? Yeah, by 9:30 we can see the Jacks continue to go down with us, giving us our highest negative Jacks of 690 right here. Once we started breaking below our 690, that was more confirmation that we're going to continue seeing and filling our negative Jacks levels to the downside. So our Jacks just continue getting stronger and stronger throughout the day, all day this morning as well. So all our data, all our levels just have to line up really well with each other. My white line is the VWAP, and my red level is R90 MA. And I mostly use the 90 MA on the 5 minute and the 15 minute time frame. But if I'm not using it on those time frames, I also use it on the hourly time frame. Those are the main time frames I look at: the hourly, 5 minute, and the 15 minute time frame. And then yeah, matching all my charts together. If I was to go to my hourly chart, it was pretty much the same thing. I pretty much got a rejection off our all-time high level up here of 697.05 right off open. It pushed all the way down to our 687.09 key pivot on our hourly. The hourly levels I usually have just to find the big ranges on the day, but my main indicators I look at is the 15-minute chart, my intraday chart. I usually start looking to cut majority of my position above 50%. It just what I depends how quick the move was. Sometimes my biggest skills are going to be above 100%. Sometimes my biggest skills are going to be at exactly 50%. It just depends on how the chart moves. I think in today's case, we got a pretty quick move. We got a pretty quick move on our lottos today. I think in our lottos it was like I got a few skills under at 43%. I think in that case I got around 20 to 30% of my skills off, and then my next skills were 131%. That's when I took off over 60-70% of my position. For your second play, did you enter in near the amount you scaled out of your first one dollar wise? What do you mean, Arab? For my second play, for my first play, both plays I pretty much look to get into around my supply area above 692.63. For me, once we started getting this retest up here, I think this was a little bit of a better entry. So I got in up here, and then I got in up here. For me, for both plays, first price target was going to be my demand zone of 690.95 first for me. And then from there, we just carried it down to key pivots. Once we started breaking below and sweeping below our next key pivot, we can see the strong momentum holding us down. And I mentioned to you guys, next price targets are going to be mentioned from previous data. What is shown, it's going to be all the way down to 687.32 slash 686 range. Yeah, I was thinking about taking a call at the end of the day, but I just didn't take it. I was already done on the day. I wasn't trying to. I was already chilling. I just hit two big plays on the day, so there was no point in trying to get a third play. But all right, guys, if that's gonna be enough for today, thank you guys for joining in, and I hope today's explanation helped you guys out a little bit on how I play my levels and how I read my data.